How you going? I'm the Dusty Bogan.
Hey, Dusty. Lovely to meet you
Yeah,
finally.
good to meet you.
Yeah.
So we're here this afternoon. I've come down, and you guys have had this is your seventh rally with
This
the
is,
Vietnamese
that's
community.
correct. That's one of our seventh one. Today is actually our prayer and candlelight and virtual program tonight. But we did have our last seven protests, which is only about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep, in the city.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's where I first met you guys
That's
and
correct.
spoke to the leader of what you guys have been doing.
Yeah, that would be Dr. Bui, president of the Vietnamese community.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've marched from the Civic Centre, we've come down and there's a memorial in the park. So we've just come up here for good lighting, but it was a beautiful service. Like we lit some candles,
That's right.
honoured the guys who served over in Vietnam, who fought for freedom.
Yes.
Obviously, they've ended up over here, the Vietnamese community.
That's right. Also, thank to the police, the Queensland police as well, because there was they actually helped escort us here as well.
Yeah.
I mean, things like that would never happen in Vietnam at all. So we're very lucky to live in a country like this. But at the same time, because of that, we must remember that there are other people in Vietnam that don't have the same human rights as we do here. Yep.
Yeah, so and then there was like a big concern of there's like them economic zones happening in Vietnam.
Yes, yep.
Up to 10% of the surface of Vietnam will be pretty much controlled by China.
That's right. If you go to Vietnam, you notice there's a lot of area where it's mainly controlled by China. I have nothing against the Chinese people themselves, but I'm actually against the communists, the Vietnamese and the Chinese Communist Party, which I call them myself the silent invaders. As you're probably aware of, I mean, the last few months, they wanted to sign part of Vietnam for 99 years, which a lot of people in Vietnam, I mean, there's over 94 million people in Vietnam. And, you know, the size of Vietnam is actually smaller than Queensland. And in Queensland, we have 4.98 millions of people, you know, and Vietnam is only 331 kilometers square. And so they tried to take parts of that for 99 years. So a lot of people in Vietnam and outside of Vietnam, they actually stand up, like us here in Queensland, in Brisbane, we're standing up to say no to that. And that's how the whole thing started. And that's why we have currently we have 136 prisoner of conscience in prison at the moment. And, you know, they don't have any communication with families, and they get mistreated, they get bashed, they get abused, they get hit by sticks, rubber tubes, all sorts of things that you can imagine can happen in there. And so we actually standing to say, look, you need to release those people, because human rights is what we're entitled to. You were born equal, but yet we don't have the same equality like everybody else. And that's what we're here to pray for those people and to pray for Vietnam. Hopefully one day, you know, it will be free. It will be a place where it's peace, free, and no corruption. Yeah.
That's right, and I got to speak to heaps of guys coming down, so it was like veterans, and people were very concerned of China's influence, and then it's like warning Australia, hang on, this is happening here, the silent invasion.
Well, do you know there's there's seven ports in the South China Sea that's controlled by China. And now, I mean, Sri Lanka, they've actually signed over one of their ports because, why? Because they've signed for a port that is $1.3 billion and they can't pay for that. So now they've signed 80% of its port over to China to control. Now we also have Vanuatu that's happened to them. Northern Australia, the Northern Territory, Darwin Port, also signed as well for I think $506 million, and now it's been signed over as well. I mean, I think we need to stop. The government, I wanted to tell the government and the people to stand up, because I know how, I don't want it to happen to Australia. This is my second home. I don't want them to, that one day we're going to lose our land, our resources, everything as well, the control, of everything. So I would like us to basically stand up and say no to it, because enough is enough. Yeah.
It's awesome, and I hope that I can come along to more and more of your rallies, you know, because I've been in Inala for a long time, so...
Well, you're welcome to, anytime.
And it was good, there was like some MPs came down, did speeches, and it seems like you guys you've woken up the politicians and raising awareness?
We have got awesome, community leaders in Brisbane here. They're actually very close friends to us as well. They attend to most of the events. They speak passionately about freedom, about democracy, about human rights. So we're very lucky to have their voice. But at the same time, we urge everyone to stand up as well, because one voice matters, but many voices will be better as well. So, and I think that's what our events is about today. You light a candle, to make sure that candle doesn't go away. Keep the hope going. Yeah.
It was like that. I seen the patriotic spirit of these Vietnamese guys who are ex-veterans, and you
Yes.
just think like, wow,
Well-
it's amazing. And that they love Australia. They have the Australian flag, the
Yep.
Vietnamese flag,
Yeah.
and I think, oh, that's amazing. And it was said many times, like, we won't stop. We're never going to stop. We'll fight for freedom. We want democracy.
Of course. I mean,
Amazing.
when you think about it, how would you? I mean, you live under the communist regime. It's like you live in a home that is full of toxic, a home that's abusive. Like it can corrupt. I mean, they corrupt you. I mean, they are corruption. And the thing is that they. Not only mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, they just rape you of all of that. So I mean, how can you improve? How can a country be free or be happy or live peacefully under that condition? So so I think we need to fight, continue to fight.
Yeah. That's so good, and we'll be here with you and
Okay.
continue this journey,
Yeah,
because I
thank
think
you.
you've done a great job.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank
thanks
you.
so much for
Thanks, Dusty.
having us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, great.
We'll see you
Cheers.
next time.
Thank you.